Part 2. If the aleph means I am or I will, and you got aleph, hey, yod, hey, look up in the dictionary. Hey is the suffix, so now you've got hey, yod is right in there in the middle. The word bush is samik and nun. Did Moshe know what the letters samik and nun meant, or how to draw them, how to write them? Nobody knows. The significance of this little piece of lead they found saying you will die cursed is that it was the oldest known writing ever. That was 40 years after Moshe was out Mount Sinai. Did Moshe have Hebrew writing at Mount Sinai? He was told to write all the words of Yahuwah. As I said before, because the letters mean something, because every one of the 22 letters expresses the personal identity and message of Yahuwah, then you can only write the words of Yahuwah in Hebrew. The book of Jasher and Jubilees and Enoch all suggest that Hebrew was the language before the flood, before the Tower of Babel, and that they did have writing. No one has ever found it. So is that myth or is that truth? Nobody knows. To find this piece of lead as the oldest Semitic writing anywhere on the planet is very significant. Now, whether or not Moshe had learned Hebrew writing, remember he was raised in the Egyptian court, was an Egyptian general, military general, according to Jasher. Did Moshe know Hebrew writing? I don't know. It's all conjecture. We're not even going to waste our time any more than what shape is the earth. But the concept of the bush, look at the structure of the language. We talked about this in 2018. You can find it at ericology.net such as Georgia. It's a code. The hey as a prefix letter means the. If someone says the, that means they know and they're informing somebody else. So it sets up that there's a two-party at least. There's the speaker and the listener. The speaker is pointing to something in particular by saying the word the. So when we're reading simply the bush, we're not just getting information. Oh, it's the bush. Hey, samik nun, hey, 4 letters. But I'm telling you, there's a whole nother way to read what's going on. Anybody who says the word the author is specifying a particular bit of information to the reader, to the listener. Okay. Samik nun then is the principal communication. And then the hey suffix means it speaks. It will deliver the message of the first hey through itself to a subsequent audience. What that means is samik nun is a relay. The word shalish means relay. The word for Mashiach is a type of relay. This concept of a relay, the number 3, is built in. Let me make something clear. People say, 666, huh? You're one of those Masonic Illuminati guys. No, I can't. My fingers, because of all the years of doing construction work, I can't even do the Boy Scout. My fingers won't do it anymore. People read in all these stupid symbols and signals, which other people are doing. I'm not doing that. I'm holding up 3 so you can count 1, 2, 3. I'm not making any Illuminati symbology, just for the record, because I've been accused of that. The samik and nun are a relay device to express what the first voice was intending. It's a modified voice for the sake of the next audience. When I say the next audience, is because Moshe, standing as the audience to receive the first hey, told to look at the samik nun so that it will then express, and he can. So when you see in the scripture, all through the Torah, the voice of Elohim will say, Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to Aharon and his sons, saying, so shall you say to the children of Israel. It's like, whoa, all that's relay work, links of chain. Yeah, it's built into the system. What is samik nun? Well, if you just think they're just phonetics, SN, HSNH, Hasna. Miles Jones' books, The Writing of God, which we've mentioned before, he reduces everything down to simple phonetics, consonantal expression. It's the pictographic structure. The somic is the vertical with the 3 horizontals. I don't know if you can see that. Noon, like a lightning bolt, like a serpent shape, is alive, bam, with power. So you can think of that however you want, but the way I think of it is somic corresponding to the letter represented by the menorah in the Mishkan pattern. Somic, the vertical with the 3 horizontals, like a ship's mast with 3 yardarms, like a tree trunk with sets of branches, like a power pole with the different arms coming off. Skeleton, backbone with ribs. It's all the same picture. The somic is the orthography, the shape. What, if you get a collection of bones and you put them together properly, go to the Museum of Natural History, and whether it's a dinosaur or whether it's a modern animal, if you study the way the bones fit together, you'll pretty well know what that animal looked like. That's the structural skeleton. That's the somic. Noon is a sprout. Some people draw it like the lightning bolt. Jeff Benner, a dot with a little squiggle coming out of it, like a bean sprout with a little tendril, you know, but tadpole shape. It's not what the letter looks like so much as what does it mean? What does it mean? A spark of life? What's growing inside the womb? The fish growing inside the fishbowl. The idea growing inside the mind. The meaning inside the skeletal structure. The spark of life inside the shape. That's somic and noon. And why I keep going on about noon somic and somic noon is because Yeshua said, if I be lifted up, if the Son of Man is lifted up the same way that Moshe lifted up the serpentine shape of copper on the pole in the wilderness. And I say that because he didn't say he lifted up the snake on the pole, serpentine shape, the nachash. It also is something glittery, shiny, the word for copper or bronze. And the word nun somic means to lift up. He lifted up, he gave a banner to be lifted up. That's a nun somic, to be nun somic. It's all a play on words. If Yeshua is nun somic, the living one on the crucifix, the same way Moshe lifted up nun somic, the nun somic, whoever looks at it would be saved from the viper bites. That word look or gaze also means aspect and utterance. Whoever looks at the aspect of the message. How do you do that? There's a message. Now, does that mean that the people who got bit by vipers, I think it's in the book of Numbers there, had to sit there and analyze the spelling of words in order to be saved from their viper bites? I don't know. It doesn't seem to say that that would be what they had to do. But if you look at the meanings of the words, that's exactly what it says. When you look at Yeshua on the cross, does that mean you have to sit there and analyze the Hebrew words or else you won't be saved from your sins? Not necessarily, but that is a picture of what he's saying. When the thief on the cross said, remember me, and Yeshua said, you got it. I tell you this day, you'll be with me in paradise. Did he have to analyze the spelling of words? Did he have to know doctrine? Did he have to walk out the Sabbath day and the festivals, the Moedims? No, in his heart. He joined in league with Yeshua on the crucifix. And I say crucifix on purpose because some people say it's a cross, some a stake, some a tree. And it's like, I don't know what it was. Almost doesn't matter what it was. There's an interesting study about what it might have been, but I'm not even going to go there. That's off topic. The point is, if you could read the word bush as, here's an incoming message, ha. There's an orthography like the branches and twigs that form the construct of a bush. And then there's this life, this noon, this meaning, which will express the incoming message to the audience. That's exactly what studying alphabet letters are. It's realizing that there's something about the shape of the letter which carries the message. And the message, which joined together to spell a word, is the link, the communication between the aleph and the bet, between the creator speaking to his human creation in the alphabet, in the design of letters. Why didn't the group who's saying, hey, there's 7 good reasons why you should learn Hebrew, why didn't they say that? Well, because apparently they don't know. This is a different sort of concept. This concept is to say that the creator of the universe, who invented human consciousness, built the human brain, mind, essence, soul, spirit, whatever you want to call that composes a human being, with the intention of that human being, once the shell, once the vehicle, once the body dies, to that inner part of the being to carry on. I say that because of the verse we're going to get into where it talks about that. It was all designed by the creator. So the spark of the noon inside the mem is an inner person, an inner being. It's not the same as another physical body. So it's a picture of when Yeshua was put to death, disintegrated, you might say, as a living corporeal body. The body died. Was he still alive or did he die? The real him inside the body. But the noon is a spark of regeneration, another life of the same being. But when his physical body burst out of the grave, Pezadi, that was in the same physical body, but it was somehow a different physical body, but it was the same person inside the body. There's a promised resurrection. Do we leave our carcass in the ground on this earth and go and live in the heavens forever? Well, you can believe that if you want. Is that what's going to happen? Why does we talked about this before? Why does he say the righteous will inherit the earth forever? Whatever he's going to do, it's okay. It's okay. Whatever he's got planned is great. But he hasn't given us the ability to necessarily figure it all out and write it all down and make sense. That's why you got different denominations with different beliefs, and you can believe whatever you want. But for the Aleph to mean the guy that started this whole thing, and then we got to figure out what's on the other side of the Aleph. And I suggested a few weeks ago that you could inverse the alphabet as if the origin of 000 was this mysterious place that then projected Aleph, Bet, Gimel on one side, negative Aleph, negative Bet, negative Gimel, going at the other side like a Pythagorean sort of intersection of X, Y, Z axes. The point is, we don't know. It's all just pondering for the fun of finding stuff out, like Feynman would say. But the letters Hey, Yod, Hey, going back to Ehiyah, Aleph, Hey, Yod, Hey. Hey, Yod, Hey, if you look in the dictionary, look at its derivatives. Yod, Hey, Vav, Yod, Hey, Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey, and Yod, Hey. It all means to exist. So Aleph is the source cause of what exists. And then to look at the dictionary and find other derivatives, like I just mentioned 4 of them there, put the letter Tav in front of it. Tav, Hey, Vav, because Aleph and Tav are, as I planned, so shall it be, right? You're reading out what's Aleph and what's Tav. So if Aleph is the plan and the Tav is it happening, Aleph wants to cause something to exist. The first thing that exists was Tohu Vebohu, Genesis 1. There again in, I think it was Jeremiah 4 maybe, but the point is, Tohu is translated empty, void, nothingness, chaos, vanity, worthless, and waste. Tav He Vav. Put a mem, Tehom, unfathomable abyss, infinite depth, primeval ocean. Whoa, Tehom, that must mean with water. Doesn't say it's with water. We call it with water. We call it the abyss of the deep primeval sea because there's a mem, unfathomable abyss. So when everything was tohu vebohu, Elohim had brought these things to mind, but nothing existed in a way that was comprehensible yet. So then he built the universe with the 7 days of creation. Did you ever stop to think why those 7 things in those 7 ways? There's a message in the 7 steps of process. If you read it like it's just a story, let there be light, day 1. Okay, separating water from water, day 2. Okay. Where did he get water from light? Why did he come up with that? And then day 3, separating land from water. And then putting plant life into the land, at least the seeds, if not the bush. The Genesis 2 talks of that. Okay. Day 4. What do we do day 4? Let's just think of something. Oh, hey, did he think of this stuff off the cuff, or did he have it planned? Sun, moon, and stars. Day 4. Why day 4? Why didn't he put that at day 2 instead of right after let there be light? Because there's a message in the sequence, and the message, if you can read it in the 7 days of creation, is the Mishkan pattern. That's why. Tav, hey, hey, amazed, astonished, perplexed, dumbfounded, empty of thoughts. Tav, hey, aleph, fright, terror, meditate, reflect. Tav, vav, hey. See, these are all derivatives of existing, but meditate, reflect, repent, once again. But tav, hey, aleph, and tav, vav, hey also mean, it's where you get the word, the name of the last letter, tav. It means to make, mark, scribble, sketch, design, outline, symbol, logo, brand, or notes. And then tav, vav, aleph, suitable, fit, conforming to, or corresponding, which is to say, the right shape of the letter, meaning the message that was supposed to be communicated, so that anybody who looks at it is not dumbfounded, astonished, empty of thoughts, but so that you can look at it, read it, and have exactly the thoughts that he meant to say. Hey, Samak Noon, hey, means that the intended thought coming in, hey, is exactly carried by the shape, like the skeletal structure of the tree bush, and the spark of life is suitable to be expressed. So Moshe could have, at that moment, contemplated every phonetic sound or its associated shape of letter, if it did exist, if Enoch handed it down to Noah, to Shem, to Abraham, and it came to Moshe, fine, whatever. Whether or not it did, certainly by Exodus 3, all Moshe had to do was ponder the word bush, and the message, the malak, would have spoken to him. And if we read Exodus 3, verses 2 and 3, which we'll get to in a moment, it sounds like, well, an angel spoke to him throughout the middle of the bush. But the same word angel, mem lamed aleph kaf, can mean the message itself. Mem lamed aleph kaf vav tav is message. Without the vav tav is messenger. But if you look at the structure of the word, it's someone sent or something sent. Something was sent to Moshe. Hey, look at these two things, the structure of the letters and the meaning. And suddenly all the words of Yahuwah became clear. Suddenly everything Yahweh said became clear when you see Yeshua lifted up, only doing. That's like the physical structure of the psalmic, what his father said, and only saying, that's like the noon, the life, only saying what his father said. He didn't come to be a God different than Yahuwah. He didn't come to teach us a different religion, a different way. He came to validate, to yashar, to authenticate and confirm every word that Yahuwah spoke that we can find in the Hebrew language with these 22 letters. And Yeshua came to be the message of the gauntlet path of the 22 letters. So the narrative gospel story is Yeshua coming to earth for 7 letters, dying, Zion, being put into the tomb, round rock rolled in front, het tet, held tight, yod, resurrecting, het tet, yod, resurrecting, pezadi, ascending, kuf, coming back, kuf as reshin, tav, there you go. That's Yeshua's life story as a human on the face of the earth, coming from the Aleph, whoever, whatever, however that worked. He didn't tell us because that's on the other side of the Aleph. He just said, tell him Ehyeh sent you. Tell him Ehyeh sent you. If we call him God, G-O-D, that's like the Hebrew letters Gimel Dalet, which means fortunate and luck. That's the letters in English C-D. The word Ab, father, is A-B. He didn't say, tell him your father sent you. He said, tell them Ehyeh sent you. So why do we not reference that? Just saying, there's more to that. These notes that I sent you guys, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. There's other things you could read to hear about this matter. A somic noon, if noon is action and somic is like the skeleton, you can actually see a dancing skeleton and saying, you can look at the cartoon of the dancing skeleton and say, look, a skeleton's dancing. What's it mean? The word hula, ket vav lamed, means sand. It's to tell a story. It's to whirl and dance. Why am I saying a dancing skeleton? Because noon is this action and somic is a skeleton. And if you're doing a hula, not just the girls do the hula dance, but the warriors can also. And it's very similar to a honeybee. If a honeybee goes out and finds a great place for the food to get the pollen, it'll come back to the hives and do this little wiggle dance, which is telling exactly the other bees where the stuff can be found. That's what basically the hula dance is. It's a dance that means something. It's a gesture language like Stan Tenon's Miru study. Every one of these letters is a gesture, not just a shape. The gesture, the noon, the meaning. And if you don't know that every letter carries a meaning, you've missed the majority of what Yahweh says, because you can only be dependent on translational level narrative value if you're reading it in English, Greek, or Latin, or any other language. You must be able to see the dancing skeleton. I made a note here: Max Fleischer animation, Cab Calloway, Disney silly symphonies, Pirates of the Caribbean had, those are just silly little movies showing dancing skeletons. And you look at that and say, oh, there's a dancing skeleton. What do they mean to say? Well, they're just doing stupid antics. Nothing was meant by those things. But if you could read the letters dance, spelling words like a honeybee, you'll know what feast can be found in these. And I say that because of certain things that are written in another sentence. Okay, look at Exodus 3:2. It says that he saw the angel of Yahweh toward burning fire from the midst of the bush. I'm looking at the Hebrew words here. I'm not reading it from a text. And he understood. Behold, the bush burns, or I want him to go see, behold, why is the bush burning in fire, and yet the bush is not consumed? Okay, we're going to look at this a little bit closer. I'm going to try to progress as fast as possible here. Yirah, Vav, Yod Resh Aleph. Well, if you look at the dictionary, Yod Resh Aleph means fear and honor, reverence, to be afraid. The second half of the verse, it says, Vav, Yod Resh Aleph, hey. Well, Resh Aleph, hey, if you look in the dictionary, means to be shown, to put on exhibition, to perceive. Resh Aleph Vav Yod, derivative spelling, means fit, suitable, worthy, and approved of. And remember, we talked a couple weeks ago, why did Yeshua have to die? And Carrie Alexander singing that song, worthy is the lamb who was slain. And it's like, worthy is the lamb, worthy is the lamb. What does that mean? In English, it's like, oh, well, he did that, so he's worthy to receive honor. But what it means, fit and suitable, approved of. In other words, if you reckon with this, as it were, lamb who was slain by his own, that's the Yeshua story, then you'll see that it's a fitting model that is a key that opens up the understanding of the whole alphabet. Ayin Dalet, Ayin Tav. That is what the word worthy means. It's a suitable fit, like the right key in the right lock. If you don't see this, you'll have a different meaning of the word worthy as the lamb. You think it's a matter of honoring. It's keyed to the words. Again, the word malak means to send, but it's also work, occupation. The fact that it ends with a kaf, it can mean your mission. Your mission, well, then it's not necessarily angel or message, but it's almost like Moshe is in reverence of his mission. Well, that means Moshe here is 80 years old. He was born a Hebrew Israelite in slavery, thrown in the basket, picked up by the princess of Egypt, raised in the court of the Egyptian pharaoh, became an Egyptian general, killed a guy, went on the run, had been hanging out for years, tending sheep in Midian, and thinking, what the heck is my life about? I thought I had a purpose. Another way to read the sentence. I thought I had a purpose concerning Yahuwah. And then all of a sudden, his heart was on fire. And then he sees this bush. And somehow this bush being on fire, he gets a message which was worthy, fit, and suitable. The burning bush, the bush on fire, somehow lit up his consciousness. Hine, gladly I see the bushes consumed, kindled. What? The word bet ayin resh, where we get the word boorish, also means foolish, stupid, ignorant, and illiterate. The Flemish word for farmer is boor. Farmers don't necessarily have to go to school. They learn the school of hard knocks and busted knuckles, but no slight on anybody who doesn't go to school. Ba'ash in fire, ve hanasa, and the bush, aleph yod nun nun vav. Aleph yod nun is where we get the word in English ain't, which means to negate, without. Nun vav suffix means us. Something about our non-existence. Ainu, not the way it's translated. And then the last word, akal, aleph kaf lamed, means to eat or consume. Aleph means I will, kaf lamed is all, everything. It's like I'm going to eat all of this. Similarly, mem tav kaf nun. Tav kaf nun is contents. Tav kaf vav lamed hey. Tav kaf vav nun hey. I'm just saying that if you're looking at aleph kaf lamed, what does that mean? When he says from the midst of the fire, the bush, the voice came from the midst, or the message came from the midst of the bush. Mem tav vav kaf. Tav vav kaf means midst, but mem tav kaf nun, different suffix, means designed, arranged, planned, measured, weighed, or counted, similar to a recipe or a prescription, or like a software programming in a computer. So we can back up and read this whole thing a different way. I'll just read you, this is verse 2. Being how that Moses, he was reverent and gave honor to with fear and trembling. Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. You can believe whatever you want. Psalms 2:11 and Philippians 2:12 both talk about that. And I'm adding with fear and trembling because that's what it is to have a fear and reverence of Yahuwah. So the first word, Yod Resh Aleph, doesn't say fear and trembling, but it implies the fear and trembling. It means he took it with great reverence. His mission concerning and about Yahuwah. And then if you look at this next word, Aleph Lamed Yod Vav. Aleph Lamed is toward, Aleph Lamed Yod to be toward me, and the Vav suffix means he or they. So you could say his mission regarding being towards Yahuwah. I'm telling you this because if you look at the translations, you're not going to get it. If you look at the dictionary, you're not going to get this. You have to just sit there and write these words down and ponder them. I'm just trying to give you some structure of how to regard the Hebrew. Start over. Verse 2 of Exodus 3. Being how that he was reverent and gave honor to with fear and trembling, the fact that he perceived the calling, that he was sent on a mission from Yahweh, regarding Yahweh, as a shepherd of his specific, unique exclusiveness. See, he didn't buy into the Egyptian pantheon. Moshe knew about Yahweh being different than the Egyptian gods. With inflamed heart. And I say that because the word lava means to be inflamed. The word lav, lamed bet, is heart, where we get the word love, L-O-V-E. So as molten lava, this inner So the letter mem nun can be read as an inflamed heart. Mem is that this womb, this inner, it's aqueous, water, molten, and nun is like this spark, this energy. You could picture within you mem nun, like molten lava, fire from out of the midst of the bush. His own life story burned within him, almost like volcanic. I mean, this was going on. Moshe wasn't just tending the sheep. Hey, look at that, a burning bush. Look, you think they'll figure it out. See what's going on there. And maybe that's all it was, but I'm reading into this that there's this whole other struggle going on within Moshe. Who am I? Why am I doing this? What happened in my life? I thought I was doing this, and now all of a sudden I'm doing that. And it's like, what the heck? Another 40 years in front of him. Fire from out of the midst of the bush, as if it was a planned recipe, a measured prescription. The interpretation of the design elements was put on exhibition for him to perceive. A fully rational display was shown. As if the entire stellar arrangement of night sky was suddenly and all at once comprehended, seen as a storyboard. Whoa, there it is, I get it. Hey, Samik Noon, hey, wow. Behold here, gladly, the bush, the orthography of structured shapes with dynamic meaning. Of course, the message in the picture, boorish ignorance of illiteracy vaporized, removed like a bad smell. And I say that because the word ba'ash also means to stink, smell bad, noxious, and fetid. The bush, a drawn sketch, organized as a map of our own identity. This is why I made point of the map, which is available. You can get those. We who are as a people, what makes us unique, an island in the sea of humanity, where would we be if not for Yahuwah? I am consumed by the notion, nourished at the concept. I will devour this message as my personal occupation. This bush, ablaze with fire, without us, is a stupid fairy tale. Without it, we are lost as fools. This truth is surely my everything. That's verse 2. So if you have a different Jesus, you have a different religion, you have a different covenant, you can believe whatever you want. Moshe saw this. I see this. I'm just doing everything I can to let this be seen because I believe this to be the Yashar Derek, the Chafats of Yahuwah. And if it's not, I risk my eternal salvation for this, you betcha. I will run. See the word earth, eretz, means I will run. The word retz, resh zadi, is where we get in English the word rats. Run like rats. Boy, those suckers can run. You open up the door and, man, they're fast. Interesting, I mentioned once before, remember the Lucy show with Lucy and Desi Arnaz, Lucille Ball. Remember Fred Ethel Mertz? How would you spell Mertz? Ma-ertz. Memresh Zadi. Guess what? You look in the dictionary under Memresh Zadi and it means to feel or cause pain, grievous or sick, difficult, strong, forcible, instigated, provoked, urged, stimulated, encouraged, energized, running, or to narrate a lecture. Mertz. So Ethel Mertz was Lucy's sidekick, always kind of feeding the fire to run into shenanigans. That's what the show was about. Whoever decided their name should be Mertz, New Hebrew. Two ancient names of the Hebrew script, referring to the Paleo-Hebrew, if you look at the dictionary, is Resh Ayin Zadi Ra'atz. Well, if you look at Resh Zadi meaning to run, Ra'atz, Resh Ayin Zadi, very similar. It's got the ayin, run with understanding, you might say, and Dalet Ayin Zadi. So now I just, this one page, page 4 here, just running through, look at derivative spelling. Resh ayin means thought, purpose, aim, noise, shout, bad, evil, wicked, mean, nasty, intend harm, friend, companion, or associate. Resh ayin, that's where you get the word for evil, wicked, mean, and nasty. Resh ayin hey, pasture, graze, shepherd leading a flock, directed, guided, ruled, to have intention, strive, to think with a will, a longing, pleasure, and beloved. Same word. Resh ayin, now change the suffix, yod vav nun, is idea, to have an idea. To have an idea, well, ayin zadi also means tree, but it also means to have your eyes open. Whoa, I get it. To behold the idea of what the running of this earth is all about. Ra'at in the Paleo Hebrew. To suddenly understand that when Yahweh said, I'm going to build this planet Earth, the Elohim, the creator, and he says, I'm going to run this race. I'm going to run this gauntlet. I'm going to run this course. He, who? Who's the I? The one that came here in the form, the manifest as a human, came from heaven, but he didn't tell us how and didn't tell us how he put that all together. But I certainly believe that Yahusha, the one who came here, came from Yahweh, from the heavens, from that launch pad. But how did he want us to think of him? Did he want us to think of him as our God? He wanted us to think of Yahuwah, the Elohim of Israel, of Ehyeh as our deity. And the one that came down here certainly came from him, but with what regard? That's the struggle. That's the conflict. But his idea, Resh ayin ayin, to take the second letter and make it duplicate and make it the third, broken to pieces, shattered. Well, that's what became of him, as it were. Make friends, associate with, do harm. Resh ayin, shaken, undermined. Resh ayin mem, move violently, thunder, war, roar, rage, resound, angry, indignant, complain. So when you hear 7 thunders in the book of Revelation, that's Resh ayin mem. Resh ayin mem hey, the mane of an animal. So think of a lion, male lion with his mane, and roars and shakes his mane, and it's like the thundering, the shaking. Same word. Resh ayin nun, grow green, fresh, refreshing, 528 hertz. Solfeggio tone. Look at Dalet ayin, Dalet ayin zadi. Dalet ayin is knowledge, wisdom, opinion, mind, disposition, which would be the synonym with the word ruach. Dalet ayin tav nun, intelligent, sensible, very learned, erudite, strong-minded, which is exactly what the word Sinai, as in Mount Sinai, means, erudite scholarship. Dalet ayin kaf, put out, extinguished, made dark, crushed, trampled, destroyed, which is what happened to all this perspective. It was extinguished, but brought back with the looking at the Paleo Hebrew. Dalet ayin zadi, put in, thrust in, insert, chock full, which is also a synonym meaning of zakar, as in Shem zakar. Another interesting paradox. Yod he vav he, Yahuwah, he said, is his Shem zakar. The word zakar is to remember, commemorate, bring to mind, but it also is masculine. But Yahuwah has the feminine suffix, the letter hey. Why is that? Why then do they find this writing where it's only 3 letters, Yod He Vav? What about this, the second Vav? Hey, why does it Yod He Vav Hey? I mean, this is 40 years after Moshe writes these words on Mount Sinai, getting it written, and they've misspelled Yahoo, or did they misspell it on purpose so as to not profane it or leave it masculine? To leave it masculine is Yod He Vav, cursed by the El Yahoo. It's also like the word zakar is to pierce or perforate. It's like getting stabbed with a knife or a sword. That might be why they left it Yod He Vav. Masculine suffix Vav instead of feminine. So in the ancient Hebrew script is chock full of his ideas. That's one way to read Ra'atz Ta'atz. That's where wisdom is sprouted or resurrected or brought back. Zadi. The Ruach of Yahweh, knowledge, wisdom, mind, will, disposition, thought, purpose, aim, directing, guiding, identification of evil, harmful intent, revealing of his longing, his desire for a beloved, and reason for anger and shouting, the sworn vow, the 7 thunders that John was told not to write, the blessing and cursing from Mount Ebal and Gerizim. It's all to be found in these letters. And when he says, I will run this course, he didn't just say, here, I hate you guys, you're going to have to deal with this gauntlet of pain and suffering. He said, I'm going to come down there and run this because there's a purpose. Why did he have to die? We talked about that. Go back and watch that video. That's what the reference to. Now, I'm going to try to show you something about how the Mishkan pattern works. I'm talking kind of fast. We're running out of time. There's a lot to cover here. I'll do the best I can, and sorry for that. We'll redress it in another week if you want. If Aleph is referring to himself, it's not just who wrote the alphabet, but it's any self. If you're referring to yourself, that's the Aleph. So to be born onto the face of the earth, you become the Aleph. Bet through Sheen then is a syllabus of the class, the course, the tour of life on earth as a human. So if Aleph is self, what's Bet? An embryonic body to be put into material, corporeal form. What's Gimel? Well, Gimel is the letter that is camel, the camel's burden, the journey, the progression. To connect, what's the burden? The predisposition, genetics, generational baggage. What the Bet is carrying is the Gimel. Why does one get born with a silver spoon in his mouth and the other one with a deformed mouth? It's like, gosh, it's just like, hey, welcome to Earth. Here's a punch in the face. Now get going. Gosh. Spank on the butt, whatever. So Dalet is birth. Hey is information and experience. Vav is determination or will. Vav, then you connect to become the person you choose to be, and then Zion, death. Whoa, hey, there's the gauntlet of earth in the first 7 letters, Aleph through Zion, and you can plug in the 7 days of creation, the 7 pieces of the Mishkan, the 7 Moedim. It's a fractal pattern. But I'm just trying to say, if you can read the first 7 letters as the basic, welcome to earth, now you're dead, Zion. Okay, then if that sets up the structure, the paradigm, the skeleton, what about the next set of 7? Het, Tet, Yod equal to the Aleph. Kaf, Lamed equal to the Bet. Mem, Nun with the Gimel. Samik with the Dalet. Ayin with the Hey. Pei with the Vav. And Zadi with the Zion. That's the Mishkan pattern that we've talked about many times. So to plug in that Het is a barricade. That's like life after death. But it's also eternal life now. You see, if you believe in Yahuwah as your Elohim, eternal life is not something you get after you die. It's you become a participant now. Yeshua said, whoever believes in me will never die. There's something about your being which continues to live if Yahuwah is your Elohim. That's what Yeshua was saying. He is that door. Het, Tet, Yod. To be put into the grave is this door of Alephness to exist as a self in this other dimension. The Bet, then, the body that you live, the embryonic body of that other dimension where Yahweh is your Aleph, you are the Aleph that with Yahweh is your Aleph, lines up with Kaf Lamed, which is the Torah. Essentially, you are my people. This is what you do. This is your vehicle. Facts and figures and stories, constitution, rules, regulations, protocol, behavior. It's like to say you're his people and yet there's no Torah is to say I'm alive, but there's no body. I'm a vegetable. It's alive, but it doesn't do anything. It just grows. Is that what this is about? This is for the sake of pondering. Gimel lining up with Mem Nun, connection, pregnancy. Eber, the word Hebrew means to be pregnant. It has to do with inner desire, this inflamed heart. Dalet lining up with the Samik, arise and shine, picture of the menorah. Display, production, bear fruit of pregnancy. These are all correlated equivalences. Be the menorah, bear the fruit. Like a lit menorah, flames of fire, like a tree with fruit. Remember the fig tree? Yeshua saw that it had, whether it wasn't the time or it just wasn't productive, and he cursed it and it died. You're not putting out the right fruit. You're not putting out the fruit of the Ruach, the fruit of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, gentleness, kindness. Galatians 5:22. You're just being a vegetable. You're taking up space. Useless eater, isn't that what some people are called? We're supposed to be about the business of doing what he said, and the way we do what he said is because of his Torah, Kaf Lamed, to say that your Savior has absolved you of bearing fruit, absolved you of doing what he said. Oh, he's given you a different list of things. Okay, believe whatever you want. I believe that the Mashiach Yahusha, told us to bear his fruit and to regard his words and to regard the words of his Father. Ayin, then the fruit will be inspected. Is it worthless fruit? Is it dead fruit? Is it genetically modified fruit? Does the fruit you bear have the DNA of the Father's seed within it, or is it GMO fruit like lemons without lemon seeds, like grapes without grape seeds, watermelon without watermelon seeds? If it's fake food, it's not of the Father's DNA. The fruit should be pregnant with recurring generations. This tree bearing fruit whose seed is in itself, that's what Yahuwah built. Day 3 of creation, Genesis 1. He says, with the measure you use, it'll be measured to you. The fruit of our behavior is going to bring another generation. That's mishpat, table of showbread. If you look at the pupil of the eye is the aleph, the self, wrapped around. The word, there's 3 or 4 different words for being clothed or wrapped. Somic lamed, Somic mem lamed, I think it's Shin mem lamed, Bet Gimel Dalet. There's another one too. But the idea is like a fruit with a seed in it, like an eyeball with a pupil in it, the essence of the life in the womb, the noon within the mem, the noon of within the somic, the things we do in our life is the pulp of the fruit around the real essence of who we are inside. That's a picture of the ayin and the hay in this particular thing on page 5. The pei then lining up the vav, discuss, pei mouth, vav, you determine who you are because of the way you choose to live your life. Discuss, intentional communication, study as an expression of reverence, prayer, song, counseling, discussion, and then Zadi lining up with the Zion. Zion to be cut off. Zadi is the letter that lines up with the Ark of the Covenant in the Kadosh Kodashim, the resurrection of Yeshua, the sprout, blossoming of hope according to one's faith, expression of love, death realized is a portal to beyond the present. And then Kuf Reshin Tav is actually the word unicorn, or to become solid, like the horn. Crushed is where we get the word crescendo, solidification, licensed with authority, authorization. To be licensed and authorized is Reshin Tav. To be gathered up is Reshin Tav, net, trap, or snare. Kuf like a sickle, so there's a picture of harvest, of him taking his own. So I'm trying to show you within the alphabetic sequence is 2 groups of 7 with this final crescendo as a way of analyzing what the letters mean. The reason for that, we're going to go on to Proverbs 30, 1-9. Before we hit Proverbs 30, Aleph, Ab, Abba, father, forefather, patriarch, ancestor, chief, master, teacher, great, important, basic factor. Aleph, look in the dictionary. I'm just saying, if you look in under Aleph Bet, with the significance of the Aleph Bet, look at Aleph Bet, Bet, bring forth, shoot, springtime, Aviv. Aleph Bet Bet Yod Tav, eruption from within, the latent, the invisible, made visible, the seed inside the fruit, the pupil was inside the eye, the fruit breaks open, puts out a sprout. That's a picture of the noon. That's a picture of the Zadi. That's a picture of, there's these recurring pictures built into the language. I'm trying to say, if you could hear this, if you could read the skeleton dance, if you could hear the voice of the skeleton who doesn't have breath in words, but just can you read the structure of the somic? Can you noon the somic? I'm trying to show you how to do that. Aleph Bet Hey, to be want, willing, consent, forcefully or refuse energetically. Aleph Bet Yod Vav Noon. This is just looking at Aleph Bet with different permutations, derivatives, spellings. Needy, poor, but desiring, longing, yearning. So for who is Abba? The one who desired to build this, who so desired that I'm going to run. Aleph, Resh Zadi, earth, I'm going to run. I have this great desire. Seek my passion. He says he's Elkanah, a jealous Elohim, zealous and passionate about his stuff. And it's all in these words. So why didn't you keep the Sabbath day? He doesn't care. I don't care. He does care. And we should care. Why don't you learn his language? Oh, he knows my heart. Yeah, but do you know his heart? Oh, yeah, I read it in English. Sorry, that's not his heart. That's the heart of the professor, the pastor, the pope. Not necessarily Abba's heart. Aleph Yod Bet, to be hostile, to hate. Aleph Yod Bet Hey, malice, enemy. Aleph Vav Bet is a prefix, became the Latin ob, ob, skin in skin bottle, necromancer, sorcerer, ghost, no bones. Skin bottle, ghost, no bones. Oboe, Aleph Bet Vav Bet, reed, tubular. Oboe, flute, which is a synonym with Het Lamed Lamed and Samik Vav Pei. Suf, sea of reeds, Yom Suf. And halal, we talked about that meaning put to desecrated, vile, put to shame, despised, punched holes in, halal. Talked about that last week. So if Aleph is the primary subject, Bet is in reference to another person or state. Who or what is the Aleph if Bet is here? Aleph is a source without definitions. Aleph is the silent letter. Reference then, Aleph defines itself by Bet through Tav. Well, what's the Ruach of Elohim? We talked last week about blaspheming the Ruach of Elohim. Yeshua talked about the wind. He says you can see the wind. You can see the effect of the wind, but you don't know where it came from or where it's going. Bet through Tav is the Ruach. Aleph Bet through Tav. The Aleph Bet is the Ruach of Elohim. If you blaspheme that, if you diminish that, if you have no regard of that, so then when you realize that the Mishkan pattern, the Moedim, the Sabbath day and the Moedim festivals of Leviticus 23 are not nothingness. They're not tohu vebohu. They are his ruach. They are the map of his passion. They are the key to the identification of Yeshua being the Messiah, the Yahusha Mashiach. On the end of page 6 here, talk about the letter Bet. We're running out of time. I'm going to go up to Proverbs 30. It says, the debris of Agor, the son of Ikah, the Masha, in the name of Ha-Gabor, and then here, Lamed Aleph Yod Tav, Yod Aleph Lamed, and then it repeats it, Lamed Aleph Yod Tav, Yod Aleph Lamed, Va'akal. So you'll read in the scripture, this is Proverbs 30, verse 1, and it says, well, this is a word of a fellow named Agar, not Solomon, who's the son of Ikah, the Masa, and it was something that he said to the man named Ithiel, to Ithiel and Akal. Okay, in the interest of time, I'm just going to read the rereading of this because those are people's names, but the main names mean something. Verse 1, Proverbs 30. My word, I said, we have come to an agreement. Well, this is something Yahweh would have said. We have come to an agreement. My pasture pertaining to cause, reason, manner for pestilence for any and everything, rational eloquence concerning my stipulations. Well, there's a good reason to learn Hebrew right there. We came to an agreement. He said it. Okay, now this is the legal dynamics between humans and the creator of the heavens and the earth. It's his pasture pertaining to the cause, the reason, the manner for pestilence. Why the COVID? Why any plague? For any and everything. There's rational eloquence concerning my stipulations. That means we as humans can wrap our minds intellectually around these things. And anybody who says, no, sorry, you got a different God. I'm not going to waste my time listening to you. And if you don't keep the Sabbath day, it means you don't get it, which is why Mark was saying in the very beginning, any teacher who doesn't keep the Sabbath day means they haven't even started the run yet. They haven't even started the course. They don't get it. They have human understanding, but they know nothing of Yahuwah, the Elohim of Israel. The next word says the currency is stockpiled penny by penny, which means word by word, letter by letter, according to the pain is the reward. The payment is received. Definitions of words. That word agur, Aleph Gimel Resh Hey, means glossary and lexicon, collecting, stockpiling, gathering together. As we are learning words, vocabulary of this Hebrew, that's what this word means. And the first word was debris. So the debris agur literally means, in the Hebrew language, letter by letter, word for word. Next word, the demand requirement of being obedient as a son to his father is the burden to be carried for being born of the word. So if you don't want to be born of this word, if you don't want to carry this burden, you better stop now. Go back to another religion, sit in a pew of some other speaker. Because to be born of this family, to be nooned of this Aleph Mem, the word nam means the word, the other, this command, nam Yahweh, as we have showed before, this sticker, nam Yahweh, that's the word used here. To be the son who aspires to be a valiant man, a heroic warrior, a success, will attend to the unction of spelling words proactively by interior self-motive, even to the aspect of seeming foolish, stupid, a silly waste of time. Yet this and only this is everything I am about. I consume, I feast at the ever-flowing, the steadfast, the solid, stable, strong. Verse 2, myself, brutish, stupid, ignorant, worthy of disregard, of elimination. Certainly I am worthy of rejection. I'm just a man of no understanding. I'm human, breath and blood only. Verse 3, never have I learned, never even taught wisdom or knowledge of sacred matters. I perceived, observed, considered, became acquainted, became an expert by erudite scholarship. Verse 4, who made use of heavens? Now there's a riddle here, which we'll hopefully get to by the end of what we're talking about here. Verse 4, this is the riddle that Carrie Alexander wrote the song. Who made use of heavens to descend from, shooting forth from heaven to arrive down here? Who gathers up, collecting wind in the hollow of the hand? Another way to read that is, who reaps the harvest of spirit from within a man's face? The pure essence locked up within facade. So this same picture of the Aleph being inside the fruit, the noon inside the mem, is this reaping the harvest of a spirit from out of the decayed body. Another way to read these words. Who gathers the collection of wind, same word ruach for wind and spirit, in the hollow of his hand, wrapped up like this picture of the ayin. What I'm saying is that there's different ways to read these matters. Who gathers water in a garment contained as a sweet fragrance, as now that's a picture, as clouds of water for transport, words transport perfume. What does this mean? Who rises up out of nothing, all the futile insignificances of earth, as if they were something? 2 minutes. What is his name, and the name of his son, of which it's all a manifest of, a construct of? That there, in my estimation, is knowing. That's what knowing is all about. Verse 5, every spoken word is a conditional if. For the sake of attachment, join me. Like in chemistry, elements sharing an electron. Two elements need an electron, they share it together and they form a molecule. Same picture. Every spoken word. Mathematics, find the lowest common denominator so you can join two fractions together. Thusly joined is a defensive mechanism providing access to a secure refuge, protection. Words of command to regard are like a secret tooth pattern of a key. That's why we keep the Sabbath day. That's why we read these things, because it's a secret key to a place of refuge. And if you throw it away, and if the enemy has allowed, or Yahweh has put enemies in the pulpit to distract you and tell you that you don't need to hear his words, you lose access to the place of his refuge. Verse 6, also, what's more, as a steering mechanism attached to my word, my stipulations are an expectorant which induces phlegm to be coughed up. A powerful antidote to disappointment brought on by deception and false beliefs. This is his words, not mine. You know what needs to be coughed up out of your lungs when you can hardly breathe? Deceptions and falsehood. Verse 7 and 8 and 9, real quick. I know we're at the end of time. 2 things I ask for you. Do not keep back from me before I die. Verse 8, Shua, vain, worthless, empty nothingness, and words which are false, deception, and lies. Remove. Get them away from me. Poverty and wealth, it can be read, don't give to me, but it can be read, do give me, shuffled together. Both. Lachem choki, so that I can battle and imitate according to as you have commanded me. He's saying, give me the struggle of both poverty and wealth so that the dynamics of my life on earth, I can deal with both sides and grapple with the arrets. I will run this course successfully as a human on the face of the earth. And when I get to the end and say it is finished, I can have the assurance in my heart, knowing that this is the truth, and that other lies can be referenced as lies because they do not line up. Verse 9, perhaps I have sworn a vow, and I've deceived, denied, disappointed, contradicted, and I have said, who is Yahweh? This, Kurt has to go. Just a couple last sentences here. If we break a vow, we have said, who is Yahweh? Blasphemed his name. Yahweh. If you know Yahuwah, you cannot break your vow. The next phrase, perhaps an expression, Aleph Vav Reshin, that's betrothal, expression, you're committed, and Gimel Nun Bet Tav Yod, I have robbed, cheated, thieved. It is to capture by violence the name of Yahweh. We talked last week about blaspheming, and he's saying right here in verse 9 of Proverbs 30 that if you make a vow, or our forefathers brought us into a vow, and we deny it, it's blaspheming Yahweh. If we don't walk in his ways, it's to obliterate his name like an enemy taking over a city. Okay. We're out of time. We'll talk about it next week.
All right. Let's close out with a prayer. Who wants to pray?
Go ahead.
Father, thank you for this time that we have together. Sorry it's so short, but 2 hours. There's always next week. Your will be done on that. And bless everyone listening to this message. In whose name I pray. Amen. All right, after show begins. Sorry, I got to go.